Real quick, there will be sections of the video with the text commentary on the screen. This is to avoid confusion between the narration and commentary portions of the video. Also, links to the game's website and creators' socials will be in the description. Please go show them some love. Thank you, and enjoy the video. Mario. Super Mario. Super Mario Brothers. Titles, names, and monikers well known within gaming today. Nintendo's mustached hero has left his mark on gamers all over the world, and for good reason. It all started in a magical time, 1985, with a small title called Super Mario Bros. On the Nintendo Entertainment System. Ambition and wonder fueled the creativity of this console seller of a game. And as the years have gone by, the methods of creating large-scale titles have changed, but the ambition behind truly passionate projects has not. That ambition still shines today in Mario's legacy, through its many releases and fans, and the gaming industry's future as a whole. Soon, people from around the globe fell in love with Mario and his squeamish brother Luigi, sparking an explosion of different genres for the IP across numerous gaming platforms, from the NES to the newly announced and possibly released, depending on when you're watching this, Switch 2. You ask most gamers, and they'll tell you how they grew up playing the NES or SNES or N64 with others, most likely reminiscing on fond memories of trying to get first place in Mario Kart or winning with more stars than the rest of their friends and family in Mario Party. For me, however, that wasn't my upbringing. I never grew up with a Nintendo console in the house, except for handhelds, like the Game Boy Color and the DS Lite, which by the way is a goated system. And while Mario's handheld releases were undeniably great, they didn't carry with them that sense of wonder and sticking community that everyone else attributed to the mainline Mario games on Nintendo's consoles. And so, I grew up without ever really interacting with Nintendo's flagship hero, and thus, the Mario effect on me and my family seemed lost. I don't look at the mustached hero with nostalgic feelings. Recently, I've wondered what feelings I would have if I jumped into his games now. Because of my curiosity, I've made an effort to explore Nintendo's universe of games, starting with the mainline Mario titles. I mean, to me it makes the most sense, as it is Nintendo's main mascot, its flagship title. But, having never really gotten into Nintendo games in the past, I didn't have a pre-established set of consoles or games to dive into, and because I'm somewhat poor, like a lot of people nowadays, I can't just rush out and buy a bunch of Nintendo products. I was planning on getting into Nintendo games with the Switch 2, but that's another story. So realistically, what options did I have, aside from being a seafaring scoundrel, if you catch my drift? Well, let me show you something I found that is, in my opinion, truly special. Something that harkens back to the ambition and passion for making visual art in the form of video games. Something that reignited my passion to create in a medium that I'm comfortable with again, and something that truly shines above a sea filled to the brim with superstars of its kind. Welcome to Super Mario and the Rainbow Stars. This game brings it back to the good old days with a fresh coat of paint and story, similar to another classic franchise. I did not know what to expect when jumping into this game. I had heard about it through different videos and forums, but because I had never played a mainline Mario game all the way through before, I was practically blind on my first playthrough. Although it may not be completed yet, consisting currently of a demo that spans around 2 to 5 hours long, 5.5 if you suck like I do, it still gives you a memorable experience in the content that it has. But man, what a fun ride those 2 to 5 hours can be. What really surprised me about this game was how the story pulled me in right away. Now granted, it doesn't have the most compelling, tear-jerking plot out there. If you look toward the mainline Mario games, you won't find much of that most of the time. Mario games have always been known to excel and prioritize gameplay above all else. When I talk about the story in this game, the plot is sufficient, sometimes fun in its own right. But what really got me were the new characters introduced into the game. But we'll get to that. The game opens with a storybook explanation of some key events and figures through the guise of an old tale told to children, similar to other titles and the hit movie Shrek. Huh, look at that. I was able to fit a Shrek reference in. The storybook tells of a land of falling stars. In the following clip, you'll hear my beautiful voice trip over itself as I read the story to you. It's not that long, I promise. I'm going to tell you a story of light and a story of dark. In the faraway Rainbow Kingdom, a shooting star event occurs every century. This event results in the birth of the Star Children. However, one such event was fated to go awry. A dark star fell from the sky. It landed further from where the other stars had, and nobody noticed it, until dark energy grew all around the star, causing it to transform. It manifested eyes and a mind of its own, like all Star Children do. But something was wrong with this one. Its intentions were impure. The newborn star entered the Rainbow Kingdom in order to find a rainbow star. Once it had found one, it absorbed its essence without hesitation, With such power, the dark star began to transform into the form known as Starnox. Now even stronger, it brought devastation. The kingdom's denizens could not stop such a force. Eventually, what was once a kingdom became a mere ruin. But when all hope seemed lost, a mysterious hero born from a light star appeared. The hero's attack struck Starnox, causing it to revert to its prior form. With it weakened, the hero used the rainbow stars to seal the dark star into the depths of the kingdom's ruins, so that it could never be unleashed again. And that's the story so far. Fast forward to the present. We see Mario and his brother Luigi chilling at their home, until they get an invitation from Princess Peach to join in the upcoming festival, celebrating the falling of the stars.
Welcome back to Toad Town, Mario Bros!
Yeah, I'm gonna have to get away from the mic for that one. Hey, Mr. Mario, and what did you say on the paperwork again?
People keep confusing me with Toadette. Like, hello? Totally like her?
Yes, exactly like her.
Mario, Luigi! It's so good to see you arrive in good form.
Indeed. We give you a warm welcome to Toad Town, Master Mario and Master Luigi.
It's great, but I just hope Bowser isn't scheming something again.
If I get my hands on that power, then destroying Mario will be easy. After that, I'll have my sights on Peach and the entire Mushroom Kingdom. SOS! SOS! We have to get off this balloon right now! Soon, Mario, Luigi, Peach, and a new Toad character named Pilo T board an air balloon as part of a sightseeing trip, until they are unfortunately struck down by a falling star. The balloon crash lands on a nearby island, leaving Mario stranded on his own. Meanwhile, Bowser and Kamek, I don't know how to say it, plot on how to capture Princess Peach once again, this time utilizing the Rainbow Star power as a means to overcome the Mushroom Kingdom. Bowser hires 3 new cronies, Goombooter, which sounds like an in-universe slur to me, Vault-Om, and Tubu. Together, these 3 new hires search for the Rainbow Stars, when they inevitably unlock a dark power in the process. More on that in the future. While stranded on this new island, Mario comes across a sentient fallen star named Starry. Yeah, Starry. Pretty original if you ask me. Starry wants to help Mario get back to his friends, and thus the two are off to explore the world they've crash-landed in together. Quite poetic when you think about it. I'll get into more story details per level when we touch on that section of the video, but to make it quick, the demo ends with Mario and Starry arriving and saving Yoshi Island, which I thought was a pretty sweet throwback for those who remembered the old Mario games. Once they save Yoshi Island, then they head to their next destination, which is currently not in the demo. There is a quick snippet of story from the villain's side, showing the 3 new hires and Bowser's Empire traveling to the Fallen Star Kingdom and unlocking the seal that is keeping Starnox contained. However, this snippet is in the past, taking place between Mario and Luigi's invitation and the crash landing on the islands. I found this snippet to be a little confusing at first, but once I started playing through it, I started to understand where it fell in line with the rest of the story. Since this game is still a demo, there isn't much else in the story to cover for now. Plot-wise, I think it does just fine in setting up the different story elements. It has an interesting roster of antagonists, with some new and others old. The new characters are pretty standard but offer unique quirks in their own way. Mario's goal is simple and serviceable. He needs to get back to his lost friends. It's simple, but that doesn't make it bad. When the full game is out, I'll do a more extensive review of the story, since then we'll have our plot resolutions in play. For now, let's focus on what truly makes a Mario game shine: the gameplay. When it comes to gameplay, the Mario franchise typically nails it with each attempt. After all, a lot of Nintendo's focus when it comes to making games is on the experience that the player has, which makes, a lot of sense. Man, why can't most game companies understand that nowadays? Here, in Super Mario and the Rainbow Stars, that focus is no different, further adding to its feel as a mainline 2D Mario contender. What's even more exciting is the seamless implementation of more modern Mario game mechanics, like the rolling midair stomp, dive, and sprint from Mario Odyssey and 3D World. These mechanics in 2D, combined with the game's great level design, make for a very challenging yet rewarding system once you get the hang of it. I wasn't even that good at the game, and I still had a blast with it. However, there are some controls that I find myself messing up on constantly. This may be a personal issue, but I found myself diving a lot when I simply wanted to stomp on the ground and vice versa. Being a double button press difference mapped to the same button meant I would fall, take damage, and even fail because of a panic press. Again, it's probably a skill issue on my part, and I'm pretty sure the game lets you remap buttons, but having it assigned to a different button by default would have been better in my opinion. Traversing the level was one thing, but these mechanics would flow effortlessly throughout each gameplay section, like minigames, platforming puzzles, and boss fights. This allowed the gameplay to feel familiar and adaptable to all kinds of situations, rewarding players who have refined the given controls and mechanics. That sounds obvious when said out loud, but I feel like a lot of fan games, really most games in general nowadays, miss the mark on this crucial aspect of gameplay design. Since I can't really talk about the gameplay that long without speaking about the levels, let's move on to why I think this game feels like such a passion project and a breath of fresh air. Almost all of the levels in this game feel amazing to play through. That is, if you aren't trying to tackle collecting all the rainbow shards, which eventually leads to a secret level. I'll talk about that more later as I have a lot to say about that. Even if you are going for each rainbow shard, the levels still offer a lot to the player. Each one has its own unique aesthetic and design, utilizing a special part of the gameplay loop in Super Mario and the Rainbow Stars in an effective and engaging way. We start with level 1-1, Crash Landing. This level picks up right where the first intro sequence ends, with Mario now crash landed, get it, on an unknown island. This level introduces the player to Mario's moveset, allowing gamers to learn and refine the basics. There are no other elements unique to this game's experience added in here, just good old platforming. I think this level works excellently as an introduction to the way Mario feels for old and new players alike. The level theming is gorgeous, with a beautiful sunset-lit beach reminding me of some of the old classic Sonic game levels. It's a cozy and inviting first level that draws you in with its amazing gameplay and visuals, ending with a simple yet challenging, on a first attempt, boss fight against Goon Booter, one of the newly hired goons and sub-bosses introduced with this game. Level 1-2, Rocky Seaside, utilizes the new partner throw mechanic of Super Mario and the Rainbow Stars. At the end of the first level, the player meets Starry, who I mentioned in one of the earlier sections. Much like Cappy from Odyssey, Starry is a travel companion of Mario's that can help him in certain ways. I think this gameplay mechanic is an excellent addition to the 2D Mario platform, opening up new ways to solve puzzles and fight enemies. The level has a good amount of verticality and puzzles that require the player to use Starry, whether it be unlocking switches or defeating enemies. The visuals are a bit more standard than Crash Landing, but still gorgeous for a pixelated 2D platformer. Level 1-3, Gelectro Lake. sees the first use of power-ups within Super Mario and the Rainbow Stars. In this level, Mario uses the frog power-up in an underwater cave, dodging strong currents and electrifying jellyfish. It also includes all the other elements of the first two levels. And unless there is a different power-up, most of the levels utilize Mario's moveset and Starry's partner throw ability, with the throw ability itself taking specific focus in the later levels. There isn't much else to say about this level, although the hunt for the rainbow shards was a bit frustrating since they could be well hidden within a current's bubble trail or on the border of the screen amongst moving plants. Other than that, the visuals of the underwater cavern were stunning, illuminated by the colorful, dangerous glow of the many hazardous jellyfish that called the level their home. Out of the frying pan and into another platforming intensive stage, level 1-4, Coral Coastline, mixes the last two levels' elements into one space. Within this level, there are a lot of points of verticality, which made getting really good at Mario's moveset a must-have if you wanted to avoid falling down to the bottom, effectively resetting your progress with a certain section. This level especially was difficult when it came to collecting all the rainbow shards, since, as I mentioned, one slip-up in trying to get a shard could mean restarting an entire platforming section. The platforming itself is quite difficult, with a heavy emphasis on spinning narrow platforms that require precise timing. I was surprised by the difficulty spike. Strangely, the problems I had with the underwater sections from the previous stage weren't really that much of an issue in this stage. Visually, the level reminded me of level 1-2, Rocky Seaside, but this time with new enemies and a thunderstorm that poured down on the level. Coral Coastline transitions seamlessly into level 1-5, Thwomp Cove. Thwomp Cove is an interesting one. While I didn't find it as difficult to understand as Coral Coastline, its mechanics were tightened up toward one goal, utilizing the many different kinds of thwomps as a part of the level's traversal. I rather liked this mechanic, as it caused me to think on my feet about how I would clear certain puzzles. For example, there's a section where I need to use bouncing pole-like thwomps to reach a switch, or make use of the rolling thwomps to clear the path ahead. This level also includes a small boss fight of sorts, in that you have to use all of the tricks you've learned up until this point to run away from an ever-enclosing mega thwomp. I love this little sequence, as frustrating as it was at times. One thing I could never get used to was trying to get the rainbow shards during these types of sections, as my eyes were scanning the screen for two goals at once, the rainbow shards, and a way to escape the ever-encroaching doom on the left side of my screen. Visually, the level was about the same as Coral Coastline, albeit covered in ancient thwomp ruins. I don't know much about the Mario lore, so if there is some lost thwomp civilization out there, I wouldn't know. The midway section of this game took a little bit of a dive in the visual spectacle department, but that doesn't mean it detracts from the overall experience. Just an observation of mine. Level 1-6, Tabby Meadows, is a wonderful change of pace, both visually and from a gameplay standpoint. This level features another power-up for Mario, the Super Bell. While this power-up has been featured in previous games, like 3D World, it takes on a new approach in this 2D setting. Much of the level utilizes the Super Bell's different moves, with Swipe allowing Mario to take out oncoming enemies, Pounce to slide forward through small crevices, and the Wall Climb, which sees heavy use in the midway section of the level. All these abilities, coupled with Starry's partner throw, test the player in finding new ways to problem solve and traverse through the environment. Because the previous area of this level was technically the Hub World stage of Yoshi's Island, I'll get to the Hub World stages soon, the visuals of this level are drastically different from that of Thwomp Cove. Grassy mountains and hills cover the landscape, with leaves blowing in the wind as you make your way to the end. It's a nice departure from the depressing and samey beach environments of the previous levels. Overall, I love the use of the Super Bell in conjunction with Starry for this level. And if you're noticing the pattern for the level design, you should know what is coming for the next level. Level 1-7, Dolphin Boardwalk, starts out as an ordinary platforming level, complete with bouncing dolphins that allow you to spring up to higher platforms, which I thought was a neat mechanic. You dodge various threats, including the dreaded giant jellyfish seen throughout the entire game. And since this is a level that came right after a power-up level, there is no power-up to be found here. However, there is one element that surprised me in the best way possible. Dolpho the Dolphin! Yes, that's right. The third part of this level is reserved for a speedy race on the back of a dolphin through the rest of the stage. I found this to be a very nice switch up from an otherwise heavy platforming level. The dolphin controls were actually really good, despite being a 2D platformer. And even though it is 2D, traversal through the rest of the level was engaging and fun, minus the falling down and restarting parts, but that's because I suck at the game. Visually, the level started out sort of standard. You've got your usual oceanside visuals, but when you get to the third part, oh man, does the time transition from midday to afternoon look so good. While the first part of the level wasn't all too exciting for me, the last third more than made up for that. Whenever this game fully releases, I really hope the team behind this game add more callback switch-ups to the level design like this one. Personally, I had a blast with it. Level 1-8, Sunset Shipyard. Oh boy. What can I say about this level? Part of me thinks it's downright the best one in the entire demo. And another part of me wants to pull my hair out at the mention of that name. Following the pre-established pattern, this level is a power-up level. This time, we get to use one of the most iconic items in Mario's history, the Fire Flower. The Fire Flower is utilized similarly to how it is in the other Mario games. However, it also boosts Starry's abilities, now coating your trusty companion in a blaze of heat and light. This effect helps the player in traversing some of the puzzles uniquely found in this level. I want to go ahead and talk about the visuals here, because they play an important element in the level's design. I'm sure you've noticed by now, but the visuals are now coated in a shadowy display, no doubt caused by a neat way to portray Twilight Hour in a 2D setting. This makes the flame powers granted by the Fire Flower stand out while giving the level a very unique coat of paint, separating it from the rest, and in a way, connecting it with the lighting found in the first level, Crash Landing. This level was both amazing and frustrating to me. I love the visuals, and the Fire Flower is really fun to use. The platforming found here is excellent, but there are some detractors that make this level irritating at times. For example, you get attacked by a new enemy constantly throughout the level, a blooper named Captain Blotch, who attacks you with a horizontal strike across the screen every so often. This adds a new element to the level's difficulty, as you try to dodge the usual threats while also keeping in mind the constant attacks from Blotch. While I did like this element at first, I found it to grow tiresome after a while. Granted, Blotch doesn't show up until you get the Fire Flower after the first 1/3 of the level, but he follows you through the rest of it, constantly antagonizing you. Not to mention that because of the dark textures on everything, I found myself genuinely confused with how to pass some puzzles. However, there is one puzzle that I do not understand why it is the way it is. While you are making your way through the level, you have to solve a puzzle involving hitting the same switch multiple times to lower yourself down toward another switch. I must admit, I was stuck at the bottom of this area for a long time, and all the tutorials I found online were using an older version of the puzzle. It turns out that there are 3 switches in a horizontal row at the bottom, and you can't just hit one of them like you can in every other section, nor can you hit only 2 of them. No, you have to angle yourself perfectly to hit all 3 before unlocking the way forward. This caused way too much confusion on my first playthrough, and I really hope they go back and change it, since throughout the other levels, I can't recall a time where it was necessary to hit all 3 switches next to each other in order to progress. This problem, mixed with the fact that Captain Blotch is attacking you constantly, makes for a really frustrating experience. Outside of these couple of issues, I really liked the level. Out of all the normal levels, this one really stuck out to me the most, and with a few tweaks, I think it could be a near flawless level in both design and enjoyment. That brings me to the final levels in the game, but before that, a quick aside. I mentioned earlier that the difficulty of the levels was strange to me, considering the state the game is currently in. Let me clarify what I mentioned earlier. Technically, the stages available in the demo are part of World 1, right? And correct me if I'm wrong, but the latter half of stages in World 1 are somewhat challenging, but not in-game level difficult. However, in this game, I felt like there is a large ramp in difficulty, and while it may remain my favorite level, Sunset Shipyard's difficulty is really up there. Now, I'm not the best at platformers, not by a long shot, but I am pretty good at video games in general. I don't know if it's just how the demo is supposed to be right now, but the difficulty takes a huge leap with some of the levels, ending in a final level that I will get to soon. I promise. Trust me, you'll know what I'm talking about when you see the gameplay on that level. This strange difficulty structure is not necessarily an issue right now, since only the demo is out, but it will be interesting to see what kind of rebalancing happens when the full game releases. Real quick, I want to cover the bonus stages and the boss battles. The 2 bonus stages included in this game are about what you'd expect, extra levels that are used to earn star shards that play with the game's mechanics. They were fun in their own right, with my favorite being the one that lets you use rolling thwomps and switches to finally unlock a star shard beneath you. There are technically 2 boss battles in this game. There is the one against Goombooter at the beginning level, and there is a final one against Captain Blotch after Sunset Shipyard. While the Goombooter fight was packed into the end of the first level, the Captain Blotch fight is a separate stage entirely. I found Blotch's fight to be a mixed bag. While I did overall enjoy it, the second half kind of killed the momentum of the fight for me. The first half has the player dodging and utilizing their movement/starry throw skills to dodge Blotch's minions and deal damage to the boss himself. The second half sees Blotch absorbing a Rainbow Star's power, transforming into a large version of himself and attacking the player. This part would have been really cool if I didn't figure out that you could just spam Starry while dodging Blotch's attacks for an easy win on my second try. I liked the boss fight, but I found Goombooters to be more engaging. Now, the final level. Drum roll please. There is an optional level of this game. Let me tell you this right now. I have not raised at a platforming level like this in a long, long time. Want to know what collecting all those star shards throughout the game rewards you? Well, buckle in, because here it is. This level incorporates so many things that straight up require a lot of time and practice. This one dumb, idiotic jump tech in the middle of the level comes out of friggin' nowhere, and that wouldn't be so bad if I wasn't on a timer. Only 2 section mechanics, the movement required to pass, are explained to you, and even then, the second movement tech isn't explained nearly as much as it should. The use of floating balls is plopped into your lap without any training prior, all under a timer that if you don't pass, you fail immediately. I understand that I'm not amazing at Mario games. Heck, this is the first one I've sat down and tried to play through the whole way. But I mean it when I say that this level was straight agony. In fact, I couldn't beat it when playing through the game for this video. I gave up because I would have been stuck there at the same stupid jump for God knows how long. I will decree a challenge, however. If this video gets 100 likes, I'll make a dedicated video on this one level and try to beat it. That said, just take a look at some of the footage I gathered while playing through it. Here is a timestamp that skips past this part for those who can't stand hearing a grown man scream, rage, and complain. I completely understand. Oh, buddy. I lost. Dude, how? How? How are you supposed to do this? And if you even hit there, you lose! Ah! God, dude, I don't understand. I've already defeated myself. Just give up. 2 to 4 hours? I'm literally 5.5 hours in. I guess I just suck that bad. I'm jumping out. Huh? There's not enough clearance. What do you mean, tele-off? That's not even a scale! God! Break this controller! I'm gonna break this controller. 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 So I had to basically play absolutely perfect in order to pass this. No one told me this was gonna be harder than Sekiro. Not a single human being told me this was gonna be harder than Sekiro. This is harder than anything I've ever done on a platformer. Why did it go down? down! Dude, my right stick has been glued to the right side of my controller and it's doing that. Like, I don't understand why it's like that. I don't understand. I jumped, you stupid baboon! Please just don't. Ah! This recording's gonna be 3.5 hours!
That's a jump! That's a jump!
You have 100 seconds to fail. Oh, I need to take my shirt off. 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 I'm getting so sweaty. Seconds are wasting, and I'm literally making the same mistakes 100 times. I need to see somebody else do it. I genuinely don't know how to do that. I don't know how you even do this. How? Yeah, I'm not gonna be able to complete this in time. Yeah. Yikes. Overall, I would say a majority of the levels range from good to fantastic, minus Rainbow Rift. That level can stay in a timeless void it exists in, genuinely. The visuals of each level were pretty stunning for a 2D platformer, and I'm curious to see where the next set of levels takes us when the full game / next part is released. But enough about the levels. Let's talk about my favorite part of this game. This game's presentation is pure perfection, and I'm not afraid to say it. It has a lot of Mario games beat in this department. From the tiny animations given to Mario when he slips through a pipe, to the look up and duck animations, the color palette for each level, to the way the story is presented in a 2D setting, this game radiates passion through a lively complexion of colors, charm, and charisma. It reminds me of another project that aimed to do the same thing with its IP, one that I hold dear as my top 2D platformer of all time, Sonic Mania. Similar to Sonic Mania, Super Mario and the Rainbow Stars aims to bring in a breath of fresh air into a long-forgotten part of the Mario franchise. This is one part that I believe Sonic does better than Mario, honoring the legacy that it has. Don't get me wrong, I think Mario's direction of always moving forward is the right one, but I do feel like they don't give enough credit to how compelling a modern take on the classic games can be. Sure, you have Super Mario Bros. Wii U, but you know how that turned out. It's the Wii U. A proper, passionate take on the 2D classics is what the franchise deserves, and honestly, I think Super Mario and the Rainbow Stars nails this in every aspect. Yes, the story isn't absolutely stellar at the moment, but it's a good story for a Mario game. It has an array of interesting characters, all of which are tied to the already established enemies of the Mario-verse. Super Mario and the Rainbow Stars is a celebration of the classic and new Mario games, similar to that of Sonic Mania. It includes new features and old ones seamlessly in a nostalgic but fresh environment. Unfortunately, I'm not a longtime fan of Mario games, so I won't be able to tell you all the different Easter eggs and callbacks like longtime fans can. If I did miss something, please tell me in the comments below. I'd love to learn more as I start my journey with this franchise. I want to part with some closing thoughts in this section on the presentation of Super Mario and the Rainbow Stars. I think presentation in video games is a lot more important than people give it credit for. When you think of a video game, any piece of media for that matter, especially one from your past, the predominant thing that crosses your mind is how that experience made you feel. For example, when I think of the Bungie era Halos, I can't help but feel hopeful, even in the story's darkest moments, because I knew that humanity would persevere the threats given to it. And that feeling has stuck with me far longer than any impact gameplay or level design can have. I'm not saying those qualities aren't important. If anything, they add to the overall feeling a game gives to the player. When I think of a game series like Sonic, I think of freedom and heroism. When I think of games like Sly Cooper or Ratchet and Clank, I think of masters of their craft, completing the job as professionals, in effect allowing me, the player, to immerse myself in that role. I'm saying all of this to convey that with Super Mario and the Rainbow Stars, the feeling I'm left with is one of wonder and hope for the future. That is both a part of how exciting the world is to explore and learn about, and what future prospects may await us when the game is finished. In fact, because we only have the demo, one of those feelings will be lost with the full release, unless that is the team decides to make a follow-up title. But let's not get ahead of what's already in front of us. For now, I want to focus on the demo itself, and what the full release of the game could mean. If the team behind Super Mario and the Rainbow Stars keeps the same pacing, production value, and passion with this project, I have no doubt the end result will be something that rivals the mainline Mario games in most areas and even rises above in some areas. Similar to how I felt when playing Sonic Mania, Super Mario and the Rainbow Stars reinvigorates me with new wonder and anticipation as to what the franchise and the fans of said franchise will make. It oozes a sense of childlike joy often found in Mario's games. I know all of us have a fond memory or two with the franchise. I'm glad to say that even though I'm somewhat of a Mario noob, I still feel that same sense of joy and wonder with this fan-made Mario game. And I think that is one of the most important aspects to get right when you approach a fan-made project in an already established IP. You need to make the audience feel as they do when they are playing the beloved entries of said title. Otherwise, you risk losing what made you passionate about it in the first place. The question is, what kind of feeling will we have in the future of Mario and his games? With the Switch 2 around the corner and the inevitable entry of a new mainline Mario game on the horizon, we may get an answer sooner rather than later. When it comes to this fan-made title, I wonder just how far the team's creativity will take them. And just like anything else in life, the anticipation for the future will hold my attention, the same as it always has in the past for other games. This fan-made title will be no different, and as a fan of games, creative media, and wonderful stories, that excites me. I simply can't wait to see how this star shines above the rest. Thank you for watching this far into the video. As I start out with a new channel, I'm constantly tinkering with different video ideas and styles. I really enjoyed making this style of video, as it appeals to my storyteller nature more than anything I've made thus far. That doesn't mean I won't be continuing with gameplay videos, however, just that I will be splitting my efforts between the two different styles. A big thank you to the team behind Super Mario and the Rainbow Stars. They have done a fantastic job so far, and at the time of this recording, we actually just got a sneak peek at the upcoming Chapter 2. If you guys want, I'll play through it and give my thoughts on it, just like this video. If you'd like to see more content like this, consider subscribing to the channel. I try to post as often as I can, but of course with big videos like this, it might take a little longer. Liking and commenting also go a long way to making this video seen by more people, as well as sharing. My goal with this channel is to hopefully one day make it my full-time commitment. I know that might be a long way off, but as with most things in life, the things that are worth it are often hard work, and that's just fine with me. Again, thank you so much for watching. I can't wait to show you what video ideas I have in store. But until the next video, peace and God bless.